All right, I know I am not the only one who has been anxiously awaiting another makeup brush launch from Wayne Goss, and I am very excited to have a few of them here in my hot little hands, and I am very excited to share my thoughts with all of you. I am just gonna start out by saying I am a big I literally don't even know if I can get all these in my hands. Okay, big, almost. I got almost all of them. Big Wayne Goss brush lover. I have just really enjoyed the luxurious feel. Oh, I've got some back here. See? Some more. I love the luxurious feel of his brushes. I have found all of his brushes to be very high quality, and honestly, some of these, let me dig one out here. Some of these, like this guy right here, I have had for a very, very long time. I remember watching Wayne on YouTube before he ever had his brushes. I remember being so excited for him when he did his brush reveal. And at that time, I think I ordered like 2 brushes. I think I ordered 2 brushes. We've come a long way since then, Wayne and I. So I am very excited for him to have this launch. Not only is this a brand new launch for Wayne, but I'm very excited that he is now launching his brushes worldwide. So if you are like me and in the US, you will be able to get these brushes through Beautylish, and then Wayne Goss on his own website is able to ship to the rest of the world, which is incredibly exciting. I am so happy for him. So I am also happy for myself to be able to have a few of these in my hands. Now, I was really tempted. I was really tempted to just buy all of the brushes. But as you can see, I have quite a few. That's just my Wayne Goss brushes, right? And you all know that I have a lot of other brushes. So I really just took a step back and decided to pick up the ones that I thought would be really worthwhile and unique in my collection. So those are gonna be the ones that I'm reviewing for you today. But if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist. And here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, like more brush videos, because there are more coming. So what I want to say is, I know I just said that I feel like Wayne's brushes really last a very long time. I have just found that the quality of his brushes is so nice, and I know that he puts a lot of thought and consideration into his brushes. Not only for someone who's going to be doing makeup as a makeup artist on other people, but also for the average makeup wearer and the issues that people might have. So whether it's small eye space, you have sensitive or textured skin, you are noticing more creases, wrinkles, hooded eyes, all of those things, I think that Wayne really takes that into consideration, and I just really love that. So I know that a lot of care and love was probably put into the design of these, and these are just so beautiful. Now, these are real hair brushes, and these are handmade, so you're getting a very high quality brush. They're gonna be dirty now because this is gonna be what you get to see me do today, this makeup look right here. But just from all of the purchases that I have previously made, I went into this knowing that I was gonna be getting good quality, or at least pretty darn sure I was gonna be getting good quality. So for me, I was looking to bring in unique shapes, or maybe shapes that I've gotten from Wayne in the past that I wanted more of, and you know, not necessarily just like blind buying the entire thing. So we're gonna get into this. I will say there was a little bit of disappointment at the beginning of this, and it sort of rocked my world a little bit. And so I might seem off for a little bit of the video. I was really having a hard time. I was really having a hard time like getting back into the swing of things. We're gonna get into it. But what I'm gonna do for you today is we're obviously doing a try on with these brushes. I'm also gonna be comparing them to some of the other Wayne Goss brush shapes in case you're like me and you're a huge, huge fan and you have some brushes and you're sort of wondering how they differ. I am not really gonna go too much into comparing them to other brands because that could be a 3-hour long video. So because I feel like this video is already going to be somewhat lengthy, I will try to have chapters down below to help you kind of skim through if there's something in particular that you're looking for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the brushes from Wayne's new collection that I chose, and I will give you their close-ups, their moment in the sun, and of course we'll use them, and I will give you my honest thoughts at the end. I love Wayne, and you know, I've really had a good run with most of his products, but I will always be honest with you, so you can check in for my final thoughts at the end. All right. I'm gonna try to get over my sadness here. I think I mentioned in the intro that there's a bit of disappointment in this video. And I haven't even touched the brushes yet, so I can't even say anything about them. But I am really sad because I absolutely messed up my order. I was online when, like the instant that these brushes went live, and of course, I knew that they would probably sell out really quickly. So I was like adding to cart and I ordered the wrong brush. I almost screamed when I saw Wayne introduce the F1 angled cheek brush. That is like my dream brush. It looks so beautiful. It is exactly the type of shape that I enjoy, and that's the one that I thought I put in my cart, but I didn't. I put the F2 brush in my cart, which is the regular cheek brush. It looks like a beautiful brush. It's not a shape that I have a need for in my collection right now. It looks like a beautiful brush. This is incredibly soft. It's just not the F1. So I'm gonna show you this brush. I'll show it to you up close here. It's beautiful. It's very soft, you know, really nice, and it has just enough density, but still has some nice, you know, movement to the bristles. So I'm gonna see what I have in my collection from Wayne that is somewhat similar. This would maybe be the closest of what I have. So I have the 10 brush. This one, you know, it's a little bit more tapered on the tip, and this one it's less dense. Yeah, I would say that the F10 is just a bit less dense. So that's probably the closest. The next closest that I personally have, which isn't close at all, is the O2 brush from Wayne's Edit collection. Yeah, I mean, definitely not the same, and obviously very different bristles. So that would be this brush, which I'm going to enjoy. I'm just really sad to not have the F1. Oh, okay, kind of crushed, but you know what? That's what happens. I even double checked my cart. I just didn't double check it well. So what I do think that this is going to be lovely for though is, you know, I am not team big brush usually. So I think this will be good for precise application. I mean, this is going to be a multitasker for sure. I'm going to be able to use this. For me, this feels like something I'm going to use more with creams just because of the density of it. I guess it would be really great for powders that don't pick up very well as well. But for me, this will be great for foundation, for contour, you know, to add on some cream blush, even like, I mean, cream highlight, like you could do a lot with this brush. So get over yourself, Kelly. You're going to enjoy this brush. The F1 is out of stock right now. We'll see how I feel about this. I might just decide to go in gangbusters and buy the whole face set because that's in stock right now. I could totally see myself doing that. Okay, this brush is another one that I absolutely had to get. This was the F5 brush. So this is going to be beautiful for powdered products. I mean, I can see using this for lovely blush, for highlight, for a dust of bronzer. I think that a shape like this is so nice when you are looking for a light wash or something that you want to be able to build up. If you have a product that you want to use, but you're a little like leery of either how pigmented it is, maybe it's like a super shiny highlight, something like that, this is a great brush. Like I'm thinking right now that this is going to be great for Vivid Azalea from Wayne. That blush is beautiful. You just need a little bit. A little goes a long way. So the one that I would say that this is most close to, it's definitely tapered and a bit smaller, is the 14 brush. So you can see here, they're pretty close. The 14's a little bit bigger. I will also say that I feel like the new brushes are incredibly soft, Like this is the softest brush that I've ever felt from Wayne, this set. Very impressed. Okay, I'm already sort of talking myself into the full face set. I'm not even gonna lie. I haven't even tried them on yet. We'll just wait. You're gonna see a lot of fangirling in this video. I will give you my honest thoughts, but there's gonna be a lot of fangirling. Okay, so those are the only two face brushes that I purchased because I was looking at the other shapes and there wasn't anything that I was like, yes, this is something that I have a hole in my collection for. Like, I've been waiting for this, other than that darned angled cheek brush. And I'm just giving you a quick rundown of these brushes right now. I think I'll really be able to give you more of my thoughts, obviously, as we're using them on the face. So let's talk about the eye brushes. As you saw at the beginning of this video, I have a lot of eye brushes from Wayne. I think that they are just so beautiful. They are so long lasting. I mean, honestly, this one right here, this brush from Wayne, the 18, I have used mine and I have 3 of them. And let me tell you, I have used them time and time again. I love this brush so very much. I think that if you take care, if these are the same quality as what I've always come to know and love from Wayne, if you take care of these, they will last you forever. They will last you forever. I mean, I can't even tell you how long I've had some of my eye brushes. And I just realized I didn't mention the price of the two face brushes I got. So I'll make sure to have noted that up here, but I will be doing my best to mention in the future. So the E4 brush is the lay down brush. This is $24. So I want to compare this to the 18 brush. I'm excited. And it could be that it's because I've had these for a while, but I am actually super, oh no, it's different. It's the shape that I want. But I like the fact that this, I mean, even just feeling the bristles, it is much more tapered at the end, which to me means I'm gonna get even more accuracy. You know, I have hooded eyes. I definitely have noticed that getting worse over time, which is what happens. Thank you, gravity. So I really like something that's very, very accurate. This does a great job. It picks up shimmer product so beautifully. This is just like, it's just gonna be a little bit more refined. So we're just starting out with that one because I was really excited to compare it to the 18 brush. Okay, now we're gonna move back up the line. So I chose not to get the E1 brush. It is the large shadow brush. Again, I'm just not team big brush. Now that brush would be great if you were like a one and done, sweep it all over, quick out the door. You know, I think that it would be great. I think it would be, you know, probably soft enough that you could use it to blend as well. It just wasn't something that I needed. Can I tell you, I was so intrigued when I saw Wayne show these blending brushes. I'm hoping that my camera will do this justice. Can you see how pointed and accurate these blenders are? So we have the E2 and the E3. So the E2 is 28 and the E3 is 32. I mean, the accuracy of these, I'm stunned. I think that this is gonna be a big multitasker. I mean, I can see being able to, like if I'm in a hurry, I could take a little bit of a dark shadow and really put this into the crease. You know, if you do it really lightly and then just using more pressure, I mean, I can just see these being such a beautiful, accurate blending brush. Oh my gosh. I feel like the E2 brush is gonna be great for, you know, crease work. You could use it as a pencil brush in a pinch, like inner corner highlight. Pfft. Okay, I'm really excited about these. Now, these two blenders from Wayne are so different than any other shape he has. Honestly, they're very different than any other shape I have just in general. So I've got a lot to compare to here, but there's nothing that's even close. So I'm gonna take a couple of my smaller shaders here. We have the E2, and then I would say that the closest in size is the 19 brush from Wayne. But again, you can see here that it is very different, very, very different shape. I would say the closest shape is actually the 06 from the Edit collection. And then the other brushes that I have here are the 04, the 19, and the 20 brush. Hopefully you can see those, but there really isn't anything, there's nothing in this shape. I mean, this is such a pointed, accurate shape. I am gonna be very interested about these because it is also a much more, the base at towards the ferrule is so much more dense, but it gets a little like looser at the top. It's gonna be a really interesting application experience. I'm really excited to try this. I do think, you know, you have some more density in some of Wayne's brushes, like the 19 has a bit more density to it. I don't know, it's just gonna be really interesting. I was very intrigued by these. I'm glad I ordered the right ones. So let's go ahead and see what we can drum up to compare the new E3 to. So right away, again, shape-wise, I would say the 04 from the Edit collection. And so this must be a shape that Wayne has really been getting into more because the Edit collection was the last collection of brushes that he did, as long as I am remembering correctly, and it definitely has started going towards that tapered tip. So I'm gonna put that one away. Now, we also have the 05 from the same collection. It's a little bit more rounded and not quite as tapered off. So then, I mean, really, again, like, there's nothing that's quite the same. I'm gonna pull up the 03 and the 16 brush, which I think I actually have multiples of these brush. So I've used these quite a bit. These are just so lovely for easy blending, you know, like a very easy blender. Now, I actually will say that, oh, you know what? This one actually feels a bit similar in density. This is the 16 brush. It feels similar in density, but obviously it's very, very different shape. You know, you're gonna have much more accuracy with this. I will be honest, it isn't that often that I use a huge brush like this anymore. You know, maybe it's to set my concealer or a base, maybe to really blend out the edges of something, or if I'm just doing a really, really quick look. For my eye shape, something this big isn't something that I use a lot, but when it's something that's really tapered like this, I'm really excited to try this. We will have to see. But I think this shape here, the 03, while it's similar-ish in size, it definitely, obviously, again, does not have that taper, and it's a little bit less dense. It has a little bit more movement to it. So those are the comparisons there. The E5 brush. Now, this is what Wayne is calling his detail brush. I think that this is obviously what most people would consider a pencil brush, but a brush like this, I actually really like to use for inner corner highlight. This is even pointed enough that you could use this as a brow brush, like to just sweep through some powder. I'm really excited to use this one, and it is so soft. I was just talking in a recent video how I was like, I am getting rid of any of my pencil brushes that even feel the mildest bit scratchy. I'm getting rid of that negativity in my life. So here, let's take a look at the new E5 brush. I also have the 07 brush from the Edit collection, and then I have the 05 and the 20 brush, just so that you can see the pencil brushes. So you can see here that the new E5 brush is a bit shorter in hair than the other two pencil brushes. It's maybe about the same size as the smaller of the two pencil brushes, but it is definitely a bit fatter at the base, but more tapered. I mean, it is definitely a very detailed brush, and it's much shorter than the 07 brush. I have to say, this really wasn't my favorite pencil type brush, just because the ferrule is so big that it almost like blocked. I don't know, there's just something, there's something about the bigness of the ferrule of this brush. Not that I think that necessarily this is a pencil brush, it's really just a very like detail brush, but it just was not my favorite. But you can see here that's kind of like, just for comparison's sake, I use and love both of the other pencil brushes all the time. And again, I've had them for a while. They are still very soft. So that is one thing that I just was not worried about these being great quality, because I really trust Wayne's judgment. Okay, the last brush that we have, and it's one that Wayne is really well known for, is a push liner brush, or a small tight brush, as he is calling the E6. So this brush, and I have Wayne's other push liner brush, and I cannot find it. It's so teeny tiny, it might be hiding somewhere. I can definitely tell that the bristles on this are a bit more firm and a bit more coarse, and I think that that is really going to help pick up a lot of product and really be able to place it where you want it. And you could get really precise liner placement. You could also use this as a brow brush. Ooh, yeah. Just to be able to get some hair strokes. I think Wayne also said that you could use this as a lip brush. This would actually be a really nice lip brush. So those are my initial thoughts. I hope that that was helpful. If you are like me and you have and love a lot of Wayne brushes, maybe this helps you kind of decide like, oh, are these different enough? Is this something that I love this other brush and can kind of get something sort of similar? Hopefully that helps you. Honestly, I could have made this like a 3-hour video and compared these brushes to like other brands that I have. I just didn't want it to be quite that long. And honestly, if I'm gonna go that in depth with it, I'd like it to be after I use these for a while. So maybe there will be a video coming in the future. But if you have any specific questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. But now let's try these out together. I'll zoom in. All right, so for my makeup today, I am just planning on doing something pretty quick and easy, something, you know, that would be like an everyday typical makeup for me. So I think we're actually gonna start with the skin first, and because I have brushes different than what I thought I was going to, we're gonna see just how much we can get out of these two babies. Because now that I have the F2 brush, we're gonna see just how much we can do with this. So I think we're gonna use this for a lot of different creams and this for a lot of different powders. So that should be fun to see how much you can get out of just two brushes. So we're gonna go through with a bit of foundation. I think today, let's go ahead and use the Haus Labs actually. I really like this foundation so much. I'm probably gonna sheer it out with a little bit of moisturizer just because I don't want a super high coverage look. And by the way, I'm gonna be using the shade 210, and I'm just gonna use that and mix it with a little bit of the Smashbox primerizer that I've been trying to get through. So I'm just working that, almost like making this more of closer to a tinted moisturizer. So I'm just gonna lay a little bit down where I need the most coverage. All right, so I have to say, oh my gosh, this brush feels so soft. Really does feel super soft. And you know, for me, I know that Wayne has a foundation brush in this collection. It looked a little bit larger than I necessarily usually like to use, but it did look like a nice shape. I'll be honest though, I tend to, for foundation brushes, I tend to stick to a synthetic brush, both when I am working on myself and when I'm working on a client, just because I feel like I can just be a little bit a little bit more intense as I'm cleaning them out, because I just always want to work out all of that cream product out. So I just tend to stick to a synthetic brush that I know I can, you know, I don't want to be rough on my brushes, but I just feel like I can really get in there a little bit more to clean out the bristles. Now, I did just get a couple hairs from this brush on my face. I feel like sometimes when you initially get a brush, you know, especially when it's like handmade, that there are a couple bristles that might just, you know, be ones that were just kind of loose. That doesn't usually concern me. It's usually if like I've had it for, you know, and I've used it a few times, if it's still shedding, then we've got a problem. I've never really had that issue with Wayne's brushes before, but I did just want to be honest that I just had 2 bristles on my face. Okay, so I'm just using round buffing motions to really work this product in, and then at the end I usually just give like a light sweep down just to make sure that all of my hairs are laid down. This is doing a good job so far. Okay, before we move on and do other cheek makeup with that brush, I do need to go ahead and pop on some concealer. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the Haus Labs concealer, and I didn't really get a shape from Wayne that I thought would be ideal for my concealer. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through with my Refer 36. I just got this in the Refer price drop sale. Loving this brush for concealer. So I will do this quickly and then we will continue on. Okay, really quick, I'm going to powder my under eye and my eyelid. This is the only brush I use. It's the only brush I use. It is the Wayne Goss airbrush. I really hope now that he's making brushes again that he brings it back. And I was watching a live on Instagram that Wayne did the day that these released, and several people in the comments were like, bring back the airbrush. So I just love this brush. It's such a great multitasker, but usually I use it for this purpose. Maybe I'll just dust my nose too. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we'll go through, and what I think we'll end up doing is maybe doing some layering. So we'll use a cream product and a powder product on the cheeks. So first let's go ahead and do a bit of contouring. I think that this brush, it's small enough that I think we are gonna be able to get some nice contour out of it. I'm gonna go ahead and go through with the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, and I'm just gonna do a little bit. We're not going crazy today. And I am obviously using the Fair Medium shade. This will be nice too because I do have a little bit of that foundation on the brush, so it'll just kind of help make everything super seamless. So this has worked both really well with like stippling motion and with sort of buffing motion. I tend not to use too much stippling motion on my cheeks just because right now I'm trying to cover all the craziness on my face. But I did buff out my hairline and then under the chin. So both motions are working really well with this brush. By the way, I do have a not so great skin day video coming up with some tips and tricks on what I like to do when my face is having all the issues, because I've been having all of them recently. Okay, so I think that that really blended in very nicely. Again, I am just very subtle today. This is very subtle because we're gonna be building up some product, but I do wanna go through with a cream blush just to give us a little something. Let's start out with a matte blush. This is the Higher Standard Matte Cream Blush in Kindness from LYS. I mean, this is a light blush shade, but it is picking up nicely. I think what I'll do is just to show how nice it is to have a really light fluffy cheek brush like the F5 is I'm going to go through with a really pigmented blush, pigmented powder blush, and then that way we can see, you know, just how soft you can make a product like that with the perfect brush. I'm hoping it's the perfect brush. So that just, again, gave us like a little bit of color. So far, I mean, it's working really nicely. So it was an accident. It was an accident brush, but I am liking it. So now we'll just set these with some powder products. I'm gonna go ahead and take Wayne's Radiance Boosting Face Palette. I have the Satin Bronze shades. So I'm actually going to mix these two sides together, and I'm just really lightly gonna dust over where I put my contour. This shade for me is really, I mean, it can almost be like a bronzer product because it's just really lovely and neutral. Like it's gorgeous. So then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the more glowy shade, and I mean by glowy, I mean like just ever so radiant, and that's gonna be what I put through my temples because I kind of like a little bit of glow here, but obviously, you know, if it's anywhere near a contour, I don't really want it to be super glowy. So I'll be honest, I've been using this bronzing palette all week, and I was using it with another brush, and that one was really easy to go a little overboard with. I was chatting as I was applying makeup, and whoa, I got real bronze. I got real bronze, so this is nice that, you know, it's an easy build. So again, this brush is gonna be perfect if you have those products that you love, but you're just like, oh my gosh, that's a gorgeous color, or I really like the formula, but it's like, it can just be a little too much. This brush is gonna be great for that. This might be a brush that I need more than one of. Okay, I found the blush. I was looking for something really intense to be able to show you how you can like really soften out a product. This is gonna be the perfect one. This is the Moira Signature Ombre Blusher in Orange Blossom. It's a beautiful, beautiful blush. It's a lot though. So I think I'm gonna go more with the orange side though. So I'm gonna stay towards the top of the palette, and I'm literally just like dipping my bristles in, and I do usually like to kind of give a little swirl, and we'll just pop this on. So you'll be able to see, I mean, look, that is just giving this like sunset glow. And if you've ever used these, you know that it can end up looking like this. It can end up looking like this on your face. And I always like to start my blush at the back of my cheeks and work forwards, just because if it does get a little too intense, it's sort of easier to kind of like blend up into the hairline than if you have it down lower, and then you're just like, oh, well, now I guess I just get to look like a ventriloquist doll, you know? Okay, I would say that this did really, really well. I just dusted it off on a microfiber cloth, and I'm just gonna kind of like blur that in. So now I am gonna take a little bit of highlight, just a little bit. I'm gonna take the highlight shade from Wayne's Sweet Wildflower palette, and I'm just gonna go on the very, very tip of this brush and just add a little bit. I don't really want a lot, especially because I've got my breakouts right now. So just enough right on the very top of the cheeks. So pretty. I'll just run that under the brow bone, and even just kind of like up on top. So pretty. This brush, I knew I was gonna like this brush because I actually really enjoyed this one from Wayne, the 14. And I think that this, just because it's even more tapered, it's just gonna give you even more accuracy. And you know, I'm a control freak. All right, for our eyes today, I'm pulling out the classic, the one that I love, the Imperial Topaz palette. I think, you know, with this top, it's gonna go really nicely. I'm just gonna do a nice warm wash of color. Nothing too bold. I'm going back to work after this, so I just want something that's like enhancing. So we're gonna start out, let's go ahead and start with the large E3 brush. I'm really curious to see how this goes. We're gonna go through with this nice brown, and we're probably gonna end up sweeping this all over. I'm gonna be curious to see just how detailed I can get. So I'm starting right in the crease, I'm building up the most color with a light amount of pressure. And then once most of that product is laid down, then I'm using a little bit more pressure, and I can really blend this out. Oh, this is so perfect. So I talked in a recent video, I think it was maybe the one that I did with the Sydney Grace palette, where if you find that you tend to get a little bit out of control when you're applying product, to take a small brush and lay down the product and then a bigger brush to sort of blend it out. And this is kind of that all in one. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little intimidated by the shape, or I wasn't sure if I was really gonna like it because it is a bit more dense towards the base, but it's so beautiful because really, I mean, I could have even taken the tip of this and drawn out the shape that I wanted here, like just maybe a little bit higher than what I wanted. And then again, like drawn up here through my crease. And then when that product is mostly gone, then that's when you can go through and use more pressure. Because obviously if I start with it, you know, at the very tip, right, I'm using it almost like a pencil brush. But if I use more pressure and more pressure, eventually this becomes a big fluffy blending brush. So you have a lot of opportunity to use this in many different ways. So I could, you know, just really etch out the shape that you want very lightly, and then start using more pressure when you have less product on your brush. And then at the very end, when this was almost like clean, I just went through and whisked it right onto my lid, and then we'll just have like a nice base color for the shimmer to lay on top of. I mean, honestly, I could probably do my under eye with this brush. It's really, really accurate. We're gonna use the other one for that. So why don't I go ahead and do that right now? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually going to take the E5 and I'm just gonna dip it into the black in this palette. And I'm gonna use that first to run that along really close to my lower lash line. This brush is super soft. And I'm just doing this on like the outer third of my eye. And I'll use this to just kind of like darken that outer corner. All right, so now that I have that depth and darkness there, I'm gonna take the smaller blender, the E2, and I'm gonna take it back into that chocolate shade. And then I'm just gonna use this to sort of etch over that black to make it almost like a really rich cocoa. I could have obviously mixed the two together, but I feel like this layering helps me, control, you know, make sure that I'm not getting this too dark, because I can take a really tiny brush and put on the black and then just like smudge the brown over the top. So we'll do that. And then because this is so pointed, I'm gonna be able to take this brush with, again, that chocolate shade and ever so slightly just using really light pressure and make sure that your hand is a little bit further out on the brush. Come through and use this as my blender for the under eye. And this one, again, same softness. If you find that you have very sensitive skin, or you know, you're really trying hard to not move your skin around when you're applying your makeup, I mean, I get it, I'm 42, things start moving around and you're just like, gets a little harder, and you're like, okay, the least amount of tugging and moving around that I can do is what I'm wanting to do. So hopefully you can see, I mean, that is a very accurate but beautifully smoked out lower lash line with this big daddy right here. I mean, it's not huge, but for an under eye pencil brush, it's pretty big, but very versatile. All right, so now we just need some shimmer. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited to use this, the E4. We're gonna go into the beautiful, like satiny, rusty shade. Now this I'm just using dry. I'm really looking for just that satin feel. And at first I like to give a pat just to lay that product down. And then I can use gentle swiping motions. That's gonna help avoid fallout, and especially when you're working with like really shimmery shadows, but it also helps you build up that color and kind of pack it on. Now what I will choose to do is, once I have my lid shade on, I'm gonna take the bigger blending brush. I could actually use a smaller one too, but just blur out that edge. I don't really want a harsh line there. This is such a pretty shade. Okay, so now I've got that color packed on. And again, I'm just taking the bigger brush, the E3, and just running that right along that edge, because that's the color we used for our crease. It just kind of blurs everything together. All right, I used a bit of brush cleaner on the E5 brush. I'm just gonna dip into the lightest little shimmer shade, and I'm just gonna pop it on my inner corner. Again, this is just a really nice, like soft, everyday, wearable, warm toned palette. I will definitely be using these brushes with, you know, some of my indie multi-chrome super shinies and letting you know how they pick up. I have a feeling they're gonna pick up really nicely though, because natural hair just does such a wonderful job. So pretty. I can probably use this to just give a little brow bone highlight. This is the kind of brow bone highlight I like, where it's just like, you know, a pinpoint, and it's not like molten. It doesn't look like I like dipped my brows in like paint or something. Speaking of brows, I'm gonna use the E6. I just have this little powder palette here. I'm just gonna give a few brush hairs. I did put in a firmer brow gel. I actually went through with the Benefit 24/7, and I'm just gonna give a bit more definition to my brows, and then we're gonna use this to use that black shade for push liner on the lash. So just a little bit of brow enhancement here. Wow, this brush is really, really nice and stiff. Now, I don't know that this brush is what I would use to get like actual, like if you want to see hairs, because it is so stiff that I just don't feel like you get the glide that you need of like, you know how most brow pens have more of that like soft tip? I mean, it's tiny, but you need a little bit of flexibility. You don't get that from this. So this is really just gonna give me like a nice natural filled in brow. All right, pretty. I think if I did want to try to use this for like brow hairs, I would have to do it before I gel my brows, because this brush is just so stiff that it doesn't like glide over the really like firm brow gel. But this isn't really the size and style that I would use for that anyway, but it did really give a very quick, just like enhancement to the brow. All right, so now let's take this same brush and we're gonna run it into the black in the palette. And I'm literally just going to do some push liner at my lashes. I really like this technique because I have such a small amount of real estate on my eyelid. Not that I'm wearing like anything super shiny today, but you've probably noticed that even when I do like duochromes, multichromes, I don't really use a lot of eyeliner because it takes away from the amount of that shifty shimmer that you see on the lid, because there's less of my lid showing. So this is so nice because it just gives you that really rich lash line. So it gives you the illusion of thicker, fuller lashes, more definition around your eye without actually like closing in the eye with an eyeliner, or without, you know, taking away that real estate. So if you've never done push liner before, you can do it with powder, you can do it with a gel. You're gonna obviously get a stronger look with a gel, but you literally just tap into your product, get it on the edge of the bristles, and then you just get into your lash line and give a very gentle wiggle. And that just kind of helps like push it in. So it's almost like stamping at your lash line. So no one will ever be like, wow, that eyeliner, but they're just gonna be like, nice lashes, which is what it's all about. Okay, speaking of lashes, I am going to go ahead and throw on some mascara, probably just throw on a lip gloss too, and we'll get to see the finished look and I'll give you my final thoughts. Here is a little peek at the final look. I'm very happy with this. Again, this is just a really nice, like everyday look for me. I am just happy. I just feel like this is a nice enhancement. Now I just went through, what did I end up putting on? Oh, the Fenty Fussy Gloss. I'm gonna be doing a lip swatch video later today, so I didn't want anything that was gonna like tint my lips at all. I am really happy with the way that this makeup turned out. I think that this again is just a very quick, easy, everyday look for me that's gonna last a long time, you know, especially by being able to layer those creams and powders. This is just gonna be beautiful. And you will get to be able to see that because I have got to run back to work right now. So the intro and my final thoughts of this video are actually gonna be several hours from now. So I will see you really soon. All right, lovelies, thank you so much for sticking through this makeup brush tryout with me. I have really had fun with this, even with the disappointment of clicking the wrong button and putting the wrong brush in my cart. So let's go over the brushes that I did get. Now, obviously, this was an unexpected one, the F2. What I have to say about this brush is, first of all, these brushes are definitely by far, and I actually just messaged Wayne earlier on Instagram, I feel like these brushes are even softer than his softest brushes. You know, I just feel like these are so luxe. I do have to say though, you know, sometimes it's not about the softest of the softest brush, right? Like you want a nice brush, but there are certain times that you need hairs that maybe have a little bit more. I mean, you don't ever want to be like feeling like you're using a Brillo pad on your face or anything, but sometimes you need a bristle that has just a bit more texture to it to be able to pick up the product and to have it perform in the way that we need it to perform. So, you know, if we just were like using silk on our faces all the time, we wouldn't get certain results. So that being said though, these are pretty nice. These are pretty darn soft brushes. So I will say that, you know, with using this, I found that buffing on my skin and also stippling worked really well with this shape. And right now I do have some dry areas and I didn't find that that was really disturbed. I didn't find that it enhanced texture in any way. So I was really happy with this one. I do think this is going to be a great multitasker. I really felt like it did a really good job of blending out my contour. You know, I think that especially with the density of the shape, you're really going to be able to use this as a great cream bronzer buffer. It's going to be beautiful for that. I obviously was able to use it for foundation really well, and I am, you know, team small brush. So I think that this size of a brush is about as big as I really want, unless I'm just like whisking on a tinted moisturizer real quick or something. I just am a crunch roll freak. What can I say? So I really enjoyed this. That being said, this isn't a unique shape by any means, you know? I mean, it is a great quality brush. If you have something that's similar in your collection and you don't need another one, I don't think that this has an extra special quality to it, other than the fact that it is so soft. If you have very sensitive skin or you're worried about disrupting dry patches, this could be a really beautiful option for you. I'm sure it's also going to be really good for pressed powder products that I need a little bit more pickup on. Wow, I felt like that was a lot of alliteration and I didn't even mess it up. So, an exciting surprise. I don't feel like I would need another one of those though. And I'll kind of let you know as we go through these, like which ones I would maybe want extras of, just in case that's helpful to you. I'll kind of like give you my like all-star approval on some of these. Speaking of all-star approval, let's talk about this one, the F5. I knew I was gonna love this brush. Like, you just know, it's love at first sight. I'm like, yep, I knew as long as the quality was what I have come to know from Wayne, that this was gonna be a beautiful brush. This is just gonna be such a multitasker for me. It's small enough that I can get really precise placement, but also, I mean, if I go ahead and I add more pressure, you can really get a large face space done in a small amount of time. So this is just a lovely brush. I thought it worked beautifully for the bronzer application. And let me tell you, like I said, the last brush I used for that bronzer, I was like, oh, okay, this is a lot. This is a lot. Let's blend, blend, blend. And you know, this one, I really like to be able to build and add more. You know, that's just my style. So I think this is a lovely brush for that. If you are someone where you have a lot of products that you find have a harder pickup, like this type of product, I don't think that I would necessarily put into a couple of my RMS Redimension Hydro Blush shades, where it's like, I feel like I need to kind of get in there a little bit more, or anything that's, you know, really pressed, even like a gelée product. I just think that the airiness of this brush isn't going to pick up something that's really, really tightly packed. That being said, if it's really tightly packed, but it's really pigmented, this is gonna be beautiful. Any super pigmented product that you want to blur out and make it a little bit more airbrushed, this is gonna be lovely. So yeah, I could see having another one of these. In comparison to the 14 brush, it's just airier. It's an airier brush. Like this one is a little bit more densely packed and it doesn't have quite the taper. So this one, if you're looking for exact placement, it's just even more precise. So even more precise and then even more airy. So it's a dream brush for me, basically. I could definitely see having another one of those. So now that I've reviewed the two face brushes that I did end up getting, am I going to get the full face set to be able to get that angled cheek brush right away? I'm saying no to myself. And honestly, a lot of the reason for that is recently I have bought a lot of brushes. I just bought the Nikki LaRose BK Beauty brush set. I already have a lot of brushes. It's that one specific shape that really had my heart. And so my heart is kind of breaking right now, I'm not gonna lie, but I think I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait and I will pick up that one specific brush when it's back in stock. Now, that being said, the reason for that is not because the quality of these brushes is any less. It's gorgeous, like absolutely beautiful. I've gone back and forth in the few hours it's been since I did my makeup, and I almost did it. I almost clicked add to cart, send it to me as fast as you can, because I would like to have another one of these, obviously. Here is the thing. The other two brushes that are in this set are the big powder brush and the foundation brush. And, you know, I am just not team big brush. I have a couple very large powder brushes. It's just not something that I need in my life right now. And I also have foundation brush shapes that I really like. And honestly, I would probably be more likely to use this as a foundation brush than I would the other foundation brush. And the foundation brush just isn't a need in my life. So that means I would be getting another one of these brushes, which is nice, but I just don't think it's something I need. And then two other brushes that just didn't draw me in right away. So I think I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait. It's fine, I have some other brushes to use. So now let's get into the eye brushes, because let me tell you, I am so excited. I am just gonna say it right off the bat. The two brushes that I would absolutely recommend trying if you are a control freak like me, basically, is the E2 and the E3. These pointed blending shapes are just, first of all, they're very unique to what I have in my collection. Like I said, as we were going through, the closest I have are the ones that are in Wayne's edit set. And these ones are just that much more special, that much more precise. And of course, you're talking about real hair, so the pickup is incredible on these. I could probably do a whole eye look with just these two. I probably could. So you saw, I mean, how amazing and precise it was to be able to really map out the shape of my crease and then to be able to blur that out so easily. And then this one, I mean, like I said, I could use it as an outer corner. You could use this as your crease blender, absolutely. I could see using this on the inner corner. You could even use the side here to lay down shimmer for sure. And it made the most beautiful pencil brush of all time. So I really like this brush. I could see, especially out of the two of these, you know, I'm team small brush, so I could see having another E2 brush for sure. Okay, so now getting into the other eye shapes. So the E4, this is a beautiful brush. I think, ooh, I can't believe I'm saying this. It might bump the Wayne Goss 18 out of the runnings for my favorite shimmer brush. What I need to do, you know what I'm gonna do right now is I'm actually gonna pull out a shimmer. And we're gonna put this on because from Wayne's palette, that is definitely more of like a satin look, but let's go ahead and pull out a more shimmery shimmer. The one thing about this is I got zero fallout. In fact, I got zero fallout from any of these shades, but I definitely got zero fallout when I was packing onto the lid. So you know what? I'm gonna take out of my companion palette that I built, I'm gonna take my shade Lovelies in collaboration with Pretties for Your Face, just because I've obviously used this one quite a bit, and so I know, you know, how it performs, and we're gonna put it on behind my mascara. So let me just pop this in. It's just, oh my gosh, the slimness of this shape is just so beautiful. I can get so much accuracy here. And I'm just gonna work it into the front of the lid, and then I'll flip it over to the shade from Wayne's palette. I mean, I was able to get in there and just like without any problems. Okay, quickly, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the other side. But okay, so in regards to the Wayne Goss E4, I'm just gonna pull out a couple of my other favorite like lid packing shapes. These are all from Rephr just because, you know, we're talking natural hair here. I feel like compared to Rephr, it is probably most similar to the O2 brush. And I'm sorry, these are gonna be dirty, but the thing about the Wayne Goss brush is that it's a little bit more rounded at like the shape at the tip is more rounded. So I feel like it makes it a little bit more precise. Now you do get that more rounded edge on these three brushes. Here I have the 21, the mini O2, and the 28 brush. These have a little bit more of that rounded edge. The mini 2 it's a mini, you know, so it's gonna be super tiny. So this is gonna give you even more accuracy if you're just wanting like a very small brush. But I feel like this is, I don't know, there was just something about this. The way that the hairs are cut, it really just performed really nicely. So I will say that I am very excited to have this brush. If I didn't have the other brushes from Wayne, the 18s, I could see maybe picking up another one of these, but right now I am definitely set for lid packing shades. But if you're looking for a good one, I think this is good. I think it is a good mix of big enough that you're gonna be able to do it quickly, but also precise enough and thin enough that you can really get in and be very accurate. You know, sometimes you get a really chunky lid packing brush and it's just like, it's too much, it gets everywhere. It even goes on my like lower lash line and I can't stand that. So definitely this one gets a stamp of approval from me. So now moving into the two teeny tiny brushes, this pencil brush, oh, the E5, it is just so soft. It's so soft, it's so nice. And I do think, again, I mean, I really barely use this as a pencil brush. It was almost just to like be a very detailed brush, which I think is what Wayne calls this, as a detailer brush. So this I can definitely see being a multitasker. So if you are looking for a really lovely, soft, natural hair brush, I think this is gonna be great. I do also think that there are other brushes that have a very similar shape to them, but this is a really high quality one. Now, if you are looking for a really great push liner brush, this is it. This, I mean, look how tiny this brush is. I'm gonna try to get my camera to focus here. She's so tiny, it's so tiny. I actually think I'm gonna really enjoy using this for like gel liner because I'll really be able to work that in for an even like more oomphy like little push liner moment. And I could also see doing the same like down here. So this brush is spectacular if this is a brush that you know, think that you would really use. Like I said, it worked really well to lay down product in the brows as well. If I just want like a soft feel, I actually really like the way that my brows turned out today. It's been a while since I've just used a powder. So really enjoying that. This is one that I was like, do I really need another one? But I was like, it's a new design. He says it's even better than the last. I was like, all right, Wayne, I trust you. And I do really like it. So that is sort of my first impressions review on these brushes. I will, of course, be giving you my more thorough thoughts down the road. I definitely plan on doing an updated brush favorites video because I have so many brushes coming into my life right now. I do think that I'm going to give it at least a good month of being able to play with these. So, you know, maybe before Christmas, maybe if you're looking to buy yourself or someone else a gift, you can check back and I should have a favorites video up for you. So again, like I said, if you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments down below. And again, congratulations, Wayne. This is such a beautiful set. I'm really excited to get that angled cheek brush at some point, but I'm really excited to play with the brushes that I have as well. All right, lovelies, thank you so much. It means so much that you take some time out of your day to spend it with me, and I will see you really soon.